For Harold, mornings were sacred, familiar, comforting. He woke with purpose, brewed his coffee strong, skimmed the headlines, and kept moving. To him, routine meant resilience. But beneath that comfort, something had begun to shift. Not suddenly, not loudly, but enough to make him wonder. Why do I feel more tired than I used to? Section 1. The Comfort of Routine. Harold, at 74, cherished his morning rituals like a well-worn path through a familiar forest. Each day followed a nearly identical rhythm: wake up with the sun, brew a strong black coffee without sugar, flip through the newspaper headlines, and head out the door for errands or appointments. For Harold, this wasn't just a routine. It was a rhythm, a statement of self-reliance and discipline. Decades of military service had etched a sense of order into his bones. Morning rituals grounded him, especially after retirement when the days began to blur together. In these routines, he found comfort. They told him he was still in control, still capable, still him. But something had changed. The energy that used to carry him through the morning now fizzled before noon. His legs, once steady and quick, felt heavier with each passing week. Stairs he used to take 2 at a time became slow climbs. Reading the paper, once a treasured ritual, felt like a chore, his concentration slipping between paragraphs. He began canceling plans, skipping lunches with friends, turning down invitations to volunteer. When asked why, he'd shrug, "Just a little tired today." Harold believed, as many do, that aging came with inevitable decline, that aches, fog, and fatigue were part of the price of time. But he didn't realize that some of those symptoms might not be age after all. They might be choices, or more specifically, habits. Morning habits that felt harmless but were quietly draining him day after day. Have you ever blamed fatigue on age without questioning your routine? Leave a comment if this sounds familiar. Your story might help someone else. Section 2. Skipping hydration - silent dehydration. Harold rarely drank water first thing in the morning, preferring a large mug of strong black coffee. It had been his habit for decades. "Coffee wakes me up," he'd say. But what he didn't realize was that caffeine, especially on an empty stomach, can contribute to dehydration, especially in older adults. Over time, subtle changes began to appear. His skin became noticeably drier. He felt lightheaded more frequently, especially when rising from bed too quickly. Headaches began arriving mid-morning, uninvited and persistent. He chalked it all up to aging and poor sleep. What Harold didn't know was that nearly 33% of seniors suffer from chronic dehydration, often unknowingly. With age, the body's ability to signal thirst declines, making it easier to forget to hydrate. And dehydration impacts more than just comfort. It affects brain function, energy levels, digestion, and even joint health. One morning, after rushing out without drinking a drop of water, Harold felt faint while waiting in line at the pharmacy. A kind woman behind him offered her water bottle. Embarrassed but grateful, he took a few sips, and almost immediately his mind felt clearer. That evening, he looked up the effects of dehydration in seniors. The list shocked him: memory lapses, mood swings, dry mouth, fatigue, even heart strain. All symptoms he had been experiencing in silence. Could skipping water each morning really have such a deep impact? He wasn't sure yet, but something inside him said it was time to pay closer attention. Section 3. Avoiding morning sunlight – hidden impact. Harold's morning newspaper reading always happened indoors, curtains drawn to block out the glare. He claimed it was easier on the eyes. The quiet, dim light helped him feel calm. But slowly, that comfort turned into withdrawal. His mood soured without explanation, sleep became lighter, and his motivation waned. He used to love mornings. As a boy, he'd race out into the backyard, barefoot in the dew, catching sunlight on his face. Summer mornings were his favorite, warmth on his skin, birdsong in the air. But somewhere along the way, he stopped stepping outside. One morning, while chatting with a neighbor, he mentioned how his nights had become restless and his energy inconsistent. She asked, "Do you ever sit outside in the morning?" It sounded so simple, almost silly. Harold laughed, but that night, he couldn't stop thinking about it. Scientific studies confirm that around 28% of older adults suffer from decreased vitamin D levels due to inadequate morning sunlight. This isn't just a seasonal sadness, it impacts bone health, mood regulation, even immune response. Circadian rhythm, the body's natural clock, needs sunlight to stay balanced. Friends had gently noted Harold's growing irritability, his disinterest in activities he once enjoyed. He had shrugged it off, thinking, that's just age catching up. But now, for the first time, he began to wonder, could the absence of morning sunlight really be draining his vitality? The next day, he left the curtains open. Do you get morning sunlight? Drop a comment. It might inspire someone to open their curtains tomorrow. Section 4, Protein Neglect, Hidden Nutritional Gap. Breakfast for Harold typically involved toast or pastries, quick, convenient, and familiar. He rarely cooked in the mornings. Too much trouble, he'd say. Over time, however, he noticed himself tiring more easily. Carrying groceries felt heavier. Climbing stairs required effort. Even lifting his small toolbox left his arms sore. He began avoiding tasks that once brought joy, like tending the garden or fixing small things around the house. His legs felt wobbly, his grip weaker. He didn't feel old, but his body was sending different signals. Muscle mass naturally declines with age, but studies indicate that about 27% of older adults speed up this process with poor dietary choices, especially low protein intake. Harold, unaware of this link, assumed it was just age. He didn't connect his pastries and toast to his weakening strength. One morning, after painfully dragging a heavy grocery bag across the kitchen floor, he sat at the table, breathless. For the first time, he questioned his breakfast. Is this enough for what my body needs now? He recalled how his mother always started the day with eggs, beans, or leftover roast. Protein builds strength, she used to say. He had shrugged it off for years, but now those words echoed differently. Harold began to wonder, could something as simple as changing his breakfast truly make a difference? And was it already too late to regain what he had lost? Section 5, The Rush Effect, Overlooked Stress. Harold prided himself on being efficient. Even in retirement, he woke early and moved fast, coffee brewed, clothes on, list in hand, out the door. Mornings are for action, he often said. For decades, that rhythm served him. But lately, something felt different. His heart occasionally raced after climbing stairs. Headaches settled in by mid-morning, and his shoulders felt knotted by noon. His blood pressure readings crept up during routine visits. He dismissed them, just getting older. But the truth was more subtle. Studies show that around 22% of seniors experience chronic low-grade stress in the mornings, often from rushed routines. This stress can elevate cortisol levels, impacting everything from heart health to memory, even accelerating cellular aging. One morning, while rushing to a volunteer event, Harold dropped his car keys. He bent down quickly, only to feel his chest tighten and his breath shorten. It passed, but something shifted in that moment. The rush didn't feel invigorating, it felt dangerous. At his next doctor appointment, he shared what happened. The physician listened closely, then gently explained how unmanaged morning stress, especially habitual rushing, can manifest physically. Even how you start your day, she said, sets the tone for how your body functions. That night, Harold sat in silence, holding his tea. He realized he had spent years racing through his mornings without truly arriving in them, and perhaps that was aging him faster than anything else. Do you rush through your mornings too? Slow down for a moment and share your thoughts in the comments. Section 6. The Doctor's Revelation, Small Choices, Big Impacts. Dr. Emily Carter, Harold's trusted physician, listened carefully as he described his fatigue, dizziness, weakened muscles, and increasing anxiety. She nodded, asked thoughtful questions, and took her time. Harold appreciated that being heard mattered. Then came her gentle but firm explanation. Harold, your morning routine greatly influences your health. Morning dehydration accelerates aging, impacting everything from cognitive function to skin health. Avoiding sunlight reduces crucial vitamin D, affecting bones, mood, and sleep patterns. Protein is essential, especially at your age, to maintain muscle strength and prevent frailty. And finally, rushing constantly spikes stress hormones, which negatively impact your heart, your brain, even your immune system. Harold's eyebrows lifted. It felt like every symptom had an answer. She continued, "The good news is that even small changes now can make a big difference. Your body can still respond, still recover. It's not too late. Start slow water first thing in the morning, a few minutes of sunlight, a breakfast with protein, and take your time." Harold listened quietly. A profound realization settled in. His habits weren't harmless. They were quietly robbing him of vitality. Not by intention, but by repetition. And that meant change was within his reach. He left the clinic not discouraged, but hopeful, and a little amazed at how much power small decisions held, even at 74. Section 7. Transformation and Renewal, Embracing Better Choices. Determined to turn things around, Harold began small. A glass of water before coffee, opening the curtains. Adding a boiled egg or Greek yogurt to breakfast. Breathing slowly before starting his day. Week by week, the changes took root. His sleep deepened, his strength returned, the headaches vanished. Friends noticed his brighter demeanor and steadier presence. "You've changed," one said. Harold smiled, not with pride, but with. These weren't radical transformations, but they were real. He no longer rushed. He started mornings with intention, not urgency. What once felt like aging was, in truth, a pattern he could change, and that change gave him back joy, clarity, and energy. If you've recognized yourself in Harold's journey, know this. It's never too late to listen to your body. Your habits matter. Your mornings matter. Share your morning ritual in the comments. Your story could inspire someone else. Like, subscribe, and join our growing community of wise and courageous seniors. And if Harold's journey resonated with you, what she thought it was just fatigue, it wasn't next. It might just reveal something your body's been trying to tell you.